You are Locked On Tigers Postcast, part of Locked On Sports Detroit on the Locked On Podcast Network. Your team every day.
Oh my goodness. In all my years, that's got to be as gut-wrenching and demoralizing and heartbreaking of a regular season loss as I can remember. Welcome in live Locked On Tigers postcast. We're going to get through the next half hour, but man, was that difficult. The Mariners walk it off on the Tigers 4-3, the final. The Tigers were up 3-1 with 2 outs in the ninth. A 3-run double ends it, and the Mariners snatch victory from the jaws of defeat. My name is Jake Rietma. I'm your host of a live Locked On Tigers postcast. Thanks, as always, for making us your destination following the final out, or like we had, in tonight's case, following a walk-off win. Thanks for making Locked On Tigers postcast your first listen every single day. We're free and available wherever you get your podcasts, on YouTube as well. Locked On Sports Detroit, part of the Locked On Podcast Network, your team every single day. This episode of Locked On Tigers Postcast is brought to you by Game Time. That's right. Locked On Tigers brought to you by Game Time. And don't worry, download the Game Time app today, create an account, use code LOCKEDONMLB for $20 off your first purchase. Terms do apply. Shout out to Game Time. Mariners walk it off, and you know what? It was one of those games where the Tigers led 3-0, then it was 3-1, and Tyler Holton was fantastic. You get some double plays there late in the innings, and you're just cruising to victory. And especially when it got a little dicey at the beginning of the ninth inning, runners at the corners with nobody out, but Will Vest comes in, gets a couple of strikeouts, and the 2 strikeouts he got, 2 outs, and the hit that wins it just the other way off the Ryan Kreidler, the double to right center, and 3-run score. And, I'm sorry, Valade, not Kreidler. My apologies, Valade. And, you can't sit here and say he should have caught it, or maybe let it one hop in front of you, then only 2-run score, and you try and win it in extras. It's a tie game instead of the game being over. But this is the type of game you just go in shock after watching. And I know it's a West Coast game, so probably not a ton of people still up late watching this, but man, that was as crazy of an ending. But appreciate everybody tuning in as always. Like I said, my name is Jake Rietma. You can follow me on Twitter at Jake_Rietma. Tigers were one measly out away from a sweep against the Seattle Mariners, who are in the midst of a battle for the AL West and first place in the AL West. Both the Astros and Rangers were off today, but the Tigers just were so. I mean, this was a fun game again, just like the first 2 were. And in back-to-back days, you have one of the most exciting wins last night with Parker Meadows saving the game with the catch of the year, to tonight, it just being ripped away from you and your heart ripped out. Oh man, it was a tough one all the way around. But wow, if you stayed up for that one, I appreciate it. I admire it. We have a little doubleheader on Locked On Sports Detroit. We had Locked On Lions postcast after the conclusion of their preseason game earlier this evening. They lose to the Giants 14-3. I know it's just preseason. And then the second half of our doubleheader tonight, a Locked On Tigers postcast, late night. And I do apologize. And I have to get some water because that one was tough to watch. There is no doubt about it, as Chris Collinsworth would say. But final score in this one, 4-3 with the loss. The Tigers fall 5 games below 500, 55-61, 29-30 on the road. Mariners moved to 60-56. Let's break it down because the bullpen was so good. It was a bullpen day. This was a game you weren't necessarily supposed to win. Offense didn't really show up aside from the 3 runs in the 5th. And Will Vest is going to get the tough luck loss, but and Matt Vierling was the one in right field, but he left with back spasms. So just a lot of nuances and little things that went wrong for the Tigers. But you look, Brendan Hanafy was good tonight for the Tigers in the bullpen. Salmons goes 4 1/3. He was really good. And you get the effort from Brian Salmons. Tyler Holton was spectacular. Once again, he comes in and gets 2 different double plays. Continues to be so good. He did give up the home run, so finally he gives up the run. And then Will Vest wasn't bad either in that 9th inning. He did get himself in some trouble, but with the runners, but you just 1 pitch away. And this is just like we said last night, was the type of game that you remember for the entirety of the season, for the 162 games that you play in the year. That's one that sticks out last night. Tonight is one that sticks out, and you remember for 162 of the 162 games, because this was just so it almost doesn't feel real the way the Tigers lost this one. But turn the page, 3-game series over the weekend against San Francisco on the road. Still a nice start to the road trip, 2 games out of 3 against a now first place ball club in the Seattle Mariners. But yeah, man, this is going to be one that you remember, because the Mariners just they load the bases in the 9th and then get the 3-run double. And that's a play I'm sure Valade is being asked about it right now in the post-game setting, that he got a good jump on it too. That's the thing. It was a sinking line drive, and when it gets past him, it just quite literally was game over. And so I wonder what he would say if he'd go for it. Because he makes the catch, it's over. And the Tigers are feeling good, and they're out of here with a 3-game sweep over the Mariners. And you might even say it's one of the high points of the season, but instead it feels like one of the low points of the season. That's just the way it works. All right, a couple of comments to get to right away. As always, appreciate you making Locked On Tigers Postcast part of your viewing experience after the final out, your post-game destination here on Locked On Sports Detroit. We'll start with Demetrius McNeil. Remember when the Tigers let the Royals hang around and get beat with 2 outs in the 9th? Tonight they let the Mariners hang around and get beat. Gotta stop letting teams hang in the game. Yeah, I completely agree, Demetrius. And this one, for whatever reason, when Vest got those, and maybe this is just me, but when Vest got those 2 strikeouts, I just felt like for sure. And then he walks one more guy, and you had the 2 strikes, and it just, Born Cool, Pain, sweepless in Seattle. Yeah, sweepless in Seattle. Classic there. The Tigers are going to be sleepless in Seattle tonight. That's for sure. But anyways, we'll continue breaking this one down. Offensively, Zach McKinstry had the 2-run double as part of that 3-run 5th inning. And Parker Meadows continues to shine. 2 more hits for Parker Meadows today. And he was really, really good as usual. 1 RBI. That's a positive to take away from this series, is how good he's been. And, other than that, though, the 2 hits from Parker Meadows and the 2 RBI double from Zach McKinstry, just not a lot of offense any way you slice it. But we'll look ahead at the upcoming schedule and continue to break this one down. Don't go anywhere. Locked On Tigers Postcast will be right back after this. This episode of Locked On Tigers Postcast is brought to you by Game Time. That's right. Game Time's the only ticketing app you'll need because it is the best ticketing app. It's the only one you'll need, and not just for baseball games or sporting events, but don't forget to use the Game Time app for concerts, comedy shows, whatever it may be, any live event. Game Time's got you covered. Game Time is an authorized ticket marketplace of Major League Baseball, which makes getting tickets faster and easier. Prices on the Game Time app actually go down the closer it gets to first pitch, which I love. It rewards a little procrastination, if that's a word, with the killer last-minute deals, all-in prices, views from your seat, lowest price guaranteed. Game Time takes the guesswork out of buying MLB tickets. I always talk about my grandparents. They're going to the Tigers and who are they playing? Of course, the Giants. That's right. The Giants game this weekend. I told them about Game Time. Use that promo code Locked On MLB for $20 off. I'll tell you what I love the most about the Game Time app. It's the all-in pricing. Nothing makes me more upset, more infuriating than when you think you got a great deal on a ticket, you go to checkout, all the fees at the end. No, with the all-in pricing, you can use this feature to show the total upfront cost. No surprise fees at checkout. There's also flash deals, which allows you to save even more with exclusive in-app deals on select seats ahead of the game or the event. And one thing, you can also put peace of mind. Your purchase is covered with the most flexible customer service policy in the ticketing industry. So take the guesswork out of buying MLB tickets with Game Time. Download the Game Time app, create an account, use code LOCKEDONMLB for $20 off your first purchase. Terms do apply. Create that account, redeem the code LOCKEDONMLB, LOCKEDONMLB, $20 off. Download the Game Time app. Last minute tickets, lowest price, guaranteed. All right. A huge kick in the you-know-what. Tigers lose to the Mariners 4-3. They led the entire game. Well, after the fifth inning, they led 3-0. And then in the bottom of the sixth, it was a home run for the Mariners. It was a home run for, I believe it was Raley. Yeah. Yep. Luke Raley gets the home run. I always get confused. There's Cal Raleigh and Luke Raley, the first baseman for the Mariners. But for the home run for him, his 14th, it was a solo shot that made it 3-1. And then Mariners had some threats on the bases in the seventh and eighth, but double plays for Tyler Holton ended that threat. And then in the ninth is when it all unraveled. And you go by you look at the ninth and that play-by-play, it really didn't feel. There are those times where you feel it unraveling. And Demetrius mentioned the Royals game. That was one you could feel unraveling. And Jim Leland even talked about that the other day. There's games that you can feel unraveling. Honestly, this one didn't feel that for me. I just felt like the Tigers were going to complete the sweep and we were going to be feeling good and moving on to San Francisco, but it wasn't meant to be because in the to start the ninth, you get the Raley on that bizarre infield single that literally hit the bag in third. It just tough luck for the Tigers because it was just beat into the ground, a slow roller that might as well have been a bunt. And then Will Vest comes in, a Rosarina, that was a legit single to right. Raley goes up to third. And then you get Cal Raleigh strike out. You get Justin Turner to strike out. You got 2 outs. Polanco walks. So the bases are loaded. And that's when the double was hit by Haniger. And I mean, again, to play, I think Valade's going to be seeing that play in his sleep because it was a sinking line drive and he had a beat on it. If he catches it, game's over. And Benetti and Dan Petrie were even talking about, which they were great tonight, by the way. I meant to mention that. It's too bad that tonight, the result of tonight is going to be what we remember, but the dynamic of Benetti and Johnny Kane and Dan Petrie, they're trying grasshoppers at the ballpark. I mean, nobody has more fun than those guys, and it is fun to watch. But you asked, or he was asked if you dive there and go for the catch, or do you play it safe and try to get the final out, and then you're winning, or you're trying to win the game in extra innings because it's a tie game as opposed to the all or nothing play, win or lose. But they slowed it down in slow motion, and in slow motion, that makes it even more difficult because that ball was just so close. It's a game of inches. Baseball is a crazy game. That's for sure. Again, there is no doubt about it. But hey, I appreciate everybody making Locked On Tigers postcast your first listen. But for your second listen, make sure you enjoy the Locked On MLB podcast. Host Paul Sullivan, a.k.a. Sully, is here daily to provide national expertise with his trademark humor to help you get ready for the MLB playoffs here in the dog days of summer. Prepare for the Fall Classic with Sully, who has it all covered every single day on Locked On MLB, available on YouTube or wherever you get your podcast, part of the Locked On Podcast Network, your team every day. And the Mariners would be a playoff team if the season ended today, because like I said, both the Astros and Rangers were off today, and so they get the win. Although they might have actually tied with the Astros. I got to look it up. But this is going to be one that you remember as the Tigers being so close to getting that victory, but unfortunately the ball did not. Game of inches. Baseball is a crazy game. So probably another bullpen day on Friday against the Tigers, because we don't have any healthy arms. And if it's not Tarek Skubal or Cater Montero, it's probably going to be a bullpen day. Robbie Day will start for the Giants tomorrow. He's 2-1 on the season, 21 strikeouts. It's another late night game, 10:15 start. And I've talked about the Giants ballpark before. It is just absolutely gorgeous. If you've never been there, you got to make a trip to Oracle Park, I believe is what it's called now, but right on the bay. It's beautiful. Dress warm. When I was there, it was July, but it was still really cold. But hey, appreciate everybody tuning in. We've got one more segment, so don't go anywhere. We will tie a bow on this one and continue to drown our sorrows on a late night Locked On Tigers postcast after dark. Don't go anywhere. Final segment coming up next. This episode of the Locked On Tigers postcast is brought to you by Supply House. You know by now, Supply House is where the pros shop, because Supply House and supplyhouse.com is where you get supplies from the site that's made for the skilled trades. Supplyhouse.com. Supplyhouse.com is the reliable way to order plumbing, HVAC, and electrical products all online. Their easy-to-use website is packed with helpful resources and the latest product information to help you get the job done right. You can shop a complete inventory of over 200,000 parts from over 400 top brands and get your order delivered. That's my favorite part. Delivered right to your door with fast shipping from coast to coast. If you need help with an order, get expert support and industry-leading service from the friendliest folks in the business, and talk to a real person. What a concept. Every single time. Pros in the skilled trades can get a competitive edge by joining supplyhouse.com's free Trade Master program. Every trade master gets access to a dedicated phone line, free shipping, and discounts on every order. So join the thousands of trade pros already benefiting from their free membership at supplyhouse.com/TM and order plumbing, HVAC, and electrical supplies from anywhere with just a few clicks at supplyhouse.com. Once again, that's supplyhouse.com. All right, one other thing, if you're catching this in the morning on a Locked On Tigers postcast, exciting day today. Was our first Locked On Lions postcast earlier tonight, so that's on the channel as well. And it's a good time to tell you that, hey, that's what Locked On Sports Detroit is going to be. That's our goal, is to be your hub for post-game coverage on all of our Detroit teams, chopping it up, living and dying with our teams, because that's what it's all about. Yesterday was the highest of high. You got Parker Meadows, robbing the game and saving it for the Tigers. Catch of the year tonight. Tigers are up 3-1 in the ninth. A 3-run double ends it, and the Mariners walk it off. So cut my heart into pieces, as they say. So we take it day by day, take it in stride. And I saw, I actually tweeted this out, and it's a bummer because I wouldn't say it's a bummer, but make sure you're following me on Twitter at Jake_Reitma. But the ranking or the win percentage of U.S. markets with a team in all of the big four sports. So football, basketball, hockey, baseball. There's now 12 of them because remember the Phoenix Coyotes are no more. So they ranked the combined winning percentage. Boston's number 1, Miami's number 2, Dallas number 3, Philadelphia number 4, Minneapolis number 5. The list goes on. Denver 6, LA 7, Bay Area 8, New York 9, Chicago 10, Washington D.C. 11. And the city that has all 4 major sports teams with the worst and lowest winning percentage since 2020, the Detroit Tigers, or the Detroit market, I should say, because that's the Tigers, that's the Pistons, it's the Lions, it's the Red Wings. 378 win percentage since 2020. So I just thought I'd drop that little nugget while we're talking about our teams and where we're at right now. So it's a late night Locked On Tigers postcast. We love the good late night Locked On Tigers postcast after dark, but things are a little bit dark, I will admit. But hey, we've got football season coming up. Lions have a lot to be excited about, and this Tigers team, man, for two of the first two games and 8 innings. 2 games and 8 innings, it felt like really, it felt like this team had something working, man. And unfortunately, you got to get all 27 outs. So they did in the first game, in the second game, but not in the third game. And now, like we said, the road trip continues with 3 against the Giants, but then you're back home on that Tuesday, August the 13th against the Seattle Mariners. So you have a chance to get back at them, if you will. But Kader Montero is the only scheduled starter for the Tigers. He'll play against the Giants on Sunday. That's a 4:00 first pitch. Other than that, it's probably going to be bullpen days throughout. The other thing in this one, Dylan Dingler, we know with the trade of Carson Kelly, we're going to have our eye on Dylan Dingler. He deserved the shot. 0 for 3 today. He's kind of struggled after getting a couple of hits in his debut, one being a double, but 0 for 3 today. Tough day for Wenzel Perez at the top of the lineup. He was 0 for 4. Colt Keith 0 for 4, which is a bummer because I'm really hoping Colt Keith can make a late push there to get that AL Rookie of the Year. Matt Vierling, who left the game with the back spasms. Gio Urshela came in for that. And then Valade was in right. And I'm looking at the play right now, and there's a line drive to right. Oh, and I'm going to watch that 10 more times because baseball is a cruel game, but Valade just he left his feet. It would have been a great catch. I feel like the angle of the glove maybe flip it over. But we're going to be watching that one for quite some time. There is no doubt about it. Some positivity, though, from Rufus, the Motor City Kitty fan. Great series overall. Fun games. Oh, yeah. And good reminder, we get to see our old friend Mark Canha this weekend. Yep, absolutely. Our old friend Mark Canha, who I don't know if anybody else saw this, but he was called out on strikes, one of the most egregious called third strikes. I don't know if that was today or not. All the days running together. I think it was today. Might have been yesterday. But I don't know what the umpire's deal was. It was 2 balls outside, and Canha was ejected. I think he was ejected. I know the manager was ejected, but it seems like that happens to Mark Canha quite a bit. But yeah, we'll get to see Mark Canha, our old friend, and the Tigers will get to take on the Giants. But other than that, I'll be honest, just not Not a lot to unpack other than a gut-wrenching loss, and how do you turn the page and move forward. So that's where this Tigers team is at, and that's where they'll continue to push forward for the upcoming series. So as always, thanks for making Locked On Tigers Postcast your destination. We'll be with you after the final out tomorrow. It'll be another late one on this West Coast. But want to make sure that in addition to making Locked On Tigers Postcast your first listen, you want to make sure that you are, in fact, checking out the MLB podcast, Prepare for the Fall Classic with Sully, who has it all covered every single day. You can find the link to Locked On MLB in the description, so you don't have to search. Part of the Locked On Podcast Network, your team every single day. Have a good weekend to Rufus the Motor City Kitty. Appreciate that. Have a good weekend to Demetrius, Born Cool, and everybody else that stayed up late with us, and anybody that caught us on the Locked On Lions postcast. We appreciate that as well. It's going to be a fun month of August as we continue with the Tigers season and get ready for the NFL season with preseason games, but we'll have the Locked On Lions postcast after the preseason and the Lions get closer to narrowing down that 53-man roster. So one more time, final from now T-Mobile Field, I believe, T-Mobile Park, whatever it is. The Mariners top the Tigers 4-3. Will Vest gets hit with the loss. He's 2-4. He went 2 innings, pitched the 9th, got the 2 strikeouts, but gave up the 3 runs on the 2 hits. And for the Tigers, a tough day at the plate for just about everybody besides Zach McKinstry. Tigers now 50, and Parker Meadows, I should say. Parker Meadows had the 2 hits. Zach McKinstry had the 1 hit. Justin Henry Malloy had a hit. Bly Madris had a hit. And thankfully, the Tigers did all in the same inning. But that said, with the loss, Tigers 55-61, 29-30. Mariners moved to 60-56, 34-26. Back at it tomorrow against the San Francisco Giants. We'll be with you then. Until then, have a wonderful evening. Get some sleep. I'm going to get some sleep. We all need some sleep. And the Tigers just unfortunately couldn't come up with the sweep. So we need some sleep. Now I'm rhyming here. There we go. Sweep, sleep. I don't even know what I'm saying. But always a pleasure to be on the air with you. If you haven't yet, make sure you subscribe. As always, Locked On Sports Detroit. And the Tigers will get them next time type of thing. And then get back at it tomorrow against the Giants. Have a wonderful night, everyone. And we'll talk to you next time on Locked On Sports Detroit.